the HTC Desires.
Yeah, I forgot about that GamePro magazine letter write-in or whatever. I would fulfill all of Sonia's desires. Hello and welcome to the 120th episode of Growing Up Geek, the weekly podcast for geek entertainment and nostalgia. My name is Brad and I'm joined by my brother Rob.
There's a zombie on your lawn. Hey.
You been playing some Plants vs. Zombies again?
I've been playing too much Plants vs. Zombies. I think, like, people have always told me it's addictive.
Yeah.
And I played it, and I was like, this is a fun game. But then I gave up. Like, I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Recently, though, I've just been playing it like crazy. Like, it just took a while to kick in, like some LSD flashback.
Yep.
So now I'm just like, oh, man, more Plants vs. Zombies. So I beat the game. And it made me happy. I don't know if you know this yet. And
Right.
it's sort of a spoiler, but this is everywhere. The final credit roll, or the ending of the game,
Yeah.
you're rewarded with a music video.
Oh, okay.
That's essentially this really catchy song. There's a zombie in your lawn or whatever, and it's just like the sunflower is singing while all the zombies are dancing.
Yeah, this is the game that people continually discover, kind of like Peggle.
Right.
Where it's pretty much, there should almost be like some sort of a moratorium on this. It's like every podcast eventually like discovers this, and there's an episode about this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, this week Amber, because we went and saw the iPad at Best Buy.
Oh, man.
And I got to rub up on that, as Danny DeVito might say. It's a lot heavier than I expected, by the way. When you heft that thing up, it's like, ooh, this is like
people have
lifting,
said this.
Yeah, it's like lifting a laptop up, and just holding it in front of your face.
Huh.
So I don't know what that's going to lead to, but it had Plants vs. Zombies on it, and Amber was fooling around with that, which, by the way, great on the iPad.
Yeah, I hear it's like
perfect.
one of the best ways to play it.
Absolutely. Touching that game, makes total sense. So she came home and she said, I want to get that game, and we got it on Steam, and she last night was like cranking through.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that even after you beat it, like, there's a store in the game where you're like earning money to buy more stuff, and then there's like
Right.
a garden like that you tend to like on a day-to-day basis. So
Yeah.
I was surprised. I mean, PopCap, I always think of like these short flash games that are just like Zuma. You play it, you're done, and then continue on with life.
Yeah.
This game, it's like it got deeper and deeper each time I went back to it, and it almost felt like, all right, so now I'm playing Plants vs. Zombies 2.
Right.
Because, it's hard to believe that this all came out as one package all at once.
Yeah, much more like a full retail game.
Really, yeah, a
than
lot
just like
that.
a web game or something like that. Yeah, she's loving it, and it's the kind of thing. This whole tower defense thing it's right up her alley. But she was showing me how the zombies write notes to you, like the help file in the game is a
Yeah.
zombie like thing that says "Let the zombies come to your house," spelled with a Z.
Yeah.
I like that. But cool, man. Plants vs. Zombies.
Yeah.
Episode 120 here.
Oh, man.
That's a lot of episodes, and it reminded me. Bring me 120.
Yeah.
You probably do that better than I would. Do you
Well,
remember that thing?
No.
Bring me 120 precursor orbs.
Yeah, and I saw, just speaking of that, I saw Jack and Daxter on PSP, whichever one that is, and I was like, oh man, because, Naughty Dog has sort of, was it Naughty Dog? I think, was it Insomniac?
Naughty Dog.
One of them, yeah.
Wait.
Moved on from there. Yeah, one of those moved on from there and did, Uncharted and stuff, and I always wanted more Jack and Daxter, but the PSP version, really nice. I played it on the PSP Go, which is a fine platform, as far as I can tell. And, oh yeah, that was cool.
Okay. So you said there was like big news happening as of this recording.
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it, sort of our Geek Weeks here.
All right.
And this is unexpected, unplanned, sudden news. I just fired up my news app here, and I see Hewlett-Packard agrees to buy Palm. Oh, just happened. I guess this story is literally 10 minutes old at the time of this recording, so you probably know this by now, sadly, if you're listening to this. But we're just finding out, and I'm just going to read straight up. Hewlett-Packard has agreed to acquire Palm for $1.4 billion in cash. Holy crap!
What?
Cash in an envelope.
It's like they just drop a box in front of the place and run away.
Do you know what that would look like physically? Uniting a pair of companies that have failed. Oh, see, this is a sad way to do it. That have failed to make much recent headway in the smartphone business. So it's like that's framing it like two losers jumped into bed together or something,
Yeah, you're definitely reading a kind of biased site. You're reading a blogger, aren't you?
This site, it's funny you say that. It's the New York Times.
Oh.
Yeah. What a biased website.
Yeah,
Palm's been in a bad way for a while, as I'm sure you have known. And I've tweeted, God bless you, Palm. You gave it your best shot, and I really wish it wasn't true. But this is where they found themselves. And I think it's partly because of their sort of Apple-like tactics of not allowing other people to make Palm OS phones.
I don't know. If anything, it's been a marketing flub.
Okay.
It's sad because it really gets to me, especially as a Palm pre-owner.
Yeah.
But because I've been following it, and sometimes you can just clearly see where somebody has gone wrong.
Yeah.
Like, for example, PlayStation 3. You look at that and you're just like, oh man. Like, as it's coming out, you see the $600 price tag. You're just kind of like, man, this is not doing too good. And I can tell. And what they need is to cut this out and do that. Palm is one of those cases where I'm looking at it, I'm like, I really don't know what they did wrong.
Yeah,
aside from just like not getting the word out there enough.
Well, that's the thing, is like every day there's a new Android phone.
Yeah.
And it's made by Samsung and HTC and, Motorola.
Yeah.
And you can take your pick. But with this awesome operating system, they refused. This is how I see it, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it's only Palm who makes the Pre and the Pixie. Those are the only two phones with this incredible OS. I feel like that's keeping such a good thing, too close to your chest.
Yeah.
Let that stuff out, man. I want to use WebOS, I want to have it. But unfortunately, with these being the only two phones...
Yeah, even my girlfriend was telling me, like, she wants to get a new phone. She has a Blackberry, and she just feels it's too utilitarian. And... I said, well, you should maybe look at Android. I mean, it has multitasking stuff. She's like, oh, well, does it have the... and she wiggles her finger around, basically indicating the card interface that Palm Pre has, where it's just you push it, there's the cards. There's never been a better interface for multitasking on a phone. Like,
beautiful.
Hands down. And
so elegant,
I hope that what happens is somehow HP... uses this in that it doesn't kill, like just stomp it out and be like, now we have all of Palm's patents and we can screw around with them.
Yeah, God only knows.
But instead they actually try and keep this ball rolling.
Yeah. They make really good computers. I hope that they make more handsets and maybe try to press this WebOS further. Because, so many good ideas in there. And actually, they haven't really been copied that well or at all. So it's still a unique operating system. I would love that. But I was just going to say about BlackBerry 6, that since we're on this subject, that the video came up for that today, and it's very stealing from Palm in terms of the ad, how they have the interface floating in front of the person using it, And the stupid thing is, it's people dancing in front of this interface to a Black Eyed Peas song while they press the stuff, and it's like, if I think of BlackBerry, I don't think of, like, dancing. I think of more like business and getting stuff done. But even the dude in the business suit, there's like several types of person. Even he is like busting these moves out, and there's like a 10-second stretch of the video where the person's pressing no buttons; they're just dancing. Yeah. So it's almost awkward where you're like, press something, do something. Anyway, BlackBerry 6 is more of a modern, touch-based operating system, more flicking and pinching, but I guess that's how we're measuring coolness now.
Yeah, they want to reach the cool demographic, and anytime somebody business tries to do that, it's
a little weird. It
reeks.
Comes out as it's like the Windows 7 launch video. Have we proven that was fake? By the way, that Windows 7 video,
was it
with the old people throwing a Windows 7 launch party or whatever?
I'm pretty sure it was real.
Yeah, I will. I guess it would be better if they just take it to their grave. Just never reveal if it was tongue in cheek or not. But hey, so did you have anything else before we move on that happened this week that you wanted to touch on?
Not really. Mad Cats is what did you say? Something interesting to you?
No, you had mentioned that you got a Wii Netflix disc.
Well, yeah, but that's going to be our main topic.
Okay, so we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
Well, then permit me to just geek out for a second on some sort of artistic type of nerdy stuff. You may not care about graphic design or whatever. I love it. However, I don't do much traditional art as part of my job. I do much more, on the computer design. This past week, I got a Wacom tablet, or however you say that, Wacom tablet. I got the Bamboo, which is a little miniature one. They sell this at Best Buy for like $100, or you can even get it for like $70 if you choose the one without buttons on it. But this is a stylus and a touchpad that acts as a drawing tablet. If you've never used these and you are interested in art on the computer or anything, you have to do it. It's so freeing to draw just naturally instead of using a mouse. As someone at work said to me, a mouse is more like drawing with a bar of soap or drawing with a rock. It's not a good analogy for art. And this thing, it's really nice. It's affordable, I think, and I can set it right over top of my laptop keyboard and just go to town. But the art software that I would recommend tying this with, if you do get this, is called ArtRage. And I only recently found out about this. There's a free demo, a 30-day trial. Man, this software just blew my mind. It's got oil brushes. It's basically designed for artists.
Wow.
Rather than being,
really?
Yeah. Rather than being like Photoshop, which has just sort of toolbars and it's designed for photo editing. You can do art in Photoshop, but this one is like as if an artist designed it. Here's your paint over here. Here's your different types of brushes, and it's all very visually pleasing. A very textured canvas sits in front of you, and you just sort of select these crazy brushes and you mix colors. Anyway, I won't go on for too long because if you're not an artist, you probably don't care about that. But man, it's so nice, and it reacts in real world physics. So if you mix a white color over top of a dark color, it blends in rather than just sort of harshly going over top of it. And I can paint with this software. And I cannot paint in real life.
Cool.
So that's the best thing I could say. It's called ArtRage. I highly recommend people check that out.
When you mentioned it on your Twitter, I thought it was some sort of video game designed for a Wacom tablet.
Yeah.
Just like, that would be really cool. Like, all right, quickly, draw something, or well, the Penny Arcade guys did using chat roulette.
Oh, yeah, geez.
Or maybe not.
Or crayon physics, another thing popular with as far as gaming goes, where you draw the crayon. People who've played that game know the crayon texture. That's in this software as well. There's a crayon. You're
talking about Drawn to Life.
Yeah.
Or also the other one by them, the Scribblenauts.
Scribblenauts, yeah.
Yeah, cool stuff.
If you just like to just throw up a white screen and just sketch, oh man, it's super nice. Super nice.
You want to puke up a white screen.
Yeah, exactly. A whole bunch of other interesting stuff happened this week. I want to real briefly touch on the Alan Wake prequel films that came out. After seeing these videos, what do you think? Have you watched these, by the way?
I got to see the first episode.
Okay.
And then the second episode, I started downloading, but then had to go get food.
Okay, yeah, you watched these on Xbox, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they can be found on YouTube through sketchier means. That's how I consumed them.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts, though? In terms of how this prepares you for Alan Wake.
It's really crazy because it's like Alan Wake is getting a lot of marketing dollars put behind it.
Oh yeah.
Like an obscene amount. It's alarming. You feel like is there a problem with this game? It can't sell itself,
Sure.
Because they're like, get ready, get your Alan Wake T-shirt for your avatar, or
right.
all this kind of crap that I don't care about. But I do like drama. I was excited, or am excited still for this game and the storyline that it possibly presents.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, I want to tease this, I want to know how well these people write. So I decided to take a look at this prequel. And so far, it seems cool. It seems kind of almost overtly bizarre.
Yeah, some people have said it's very Twin Peaks, with sort of the creepy townspeople that sort of just leer at him. And
yeah, but that's all. That's what this game is inspired by. And I'm almost getting like sick of hearing people make that comparison. It's
Yeah.
like, yes, we know. Like, that's the point.
I thought the production value was really good. I was actually
Yeah,
surprised to see like even the acting. I braced myself for bad video game acting. This is not that. This is more like a
Right.
television quality.
Yeah, even like the waitress who's like, oh, that's Alan Wake. He's the writer who lives in this town. Like, even that, she didn't say it flinchingly or with a wink in her eye or a wince in her eye.
Yeah.
Even worse, like that. Like, oh man, I'm promoting this video game. It's like, no, I literally live in this town, and there's literally this guy who we all like because he's the town hero.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that, you know what, that is cool. And then
And the lead character in this is not Alan Wake. It's a guy named Jake Fisher.
Yeah.
Who I don't know how he relates. But yeah, especially episode 2, stuff really gets creepy in a cool way that I was like, okay, I am encouraged by this. In fact, I'm willing to say, without too much hyperbole, that I am in, after watching these. There's a lot of mysterious stuff going on with this town and things that I really like. And I almost want to watch it as a show and play it as a game, because I liked this. I really liked this prequel film thing.
I'm just hoping that the game really does deliver on storytelling. I really feel like it's a reaction to Heavy Rain. That was just this success, and now they're saying, well, this is the closest thing that we have. It's really more of a third-person action game, but we're going to market it like it's the Xbox's Heavy Rain.
Right, and that's the thing, is this is purely about the story, these prequel films,
right.
So I'm excited, but my fear is, the game's going to be more run around and shoot, and I'm going to be like, oh man, I want to watch this story unfold.
Yeah.
But these are the people who did Max Payne. Let's not forget. There is some good pedigree here. Real quick, I'll also mention that Mad Men Season 3 finale episode is amazing. Finally got to see that, and it's a season that I had sort of drifted away from and not really cared about sort of halfway through. It's worth it to come back, and I'm going to say the thing that I hate when people say to me, but if you can stick through, oh God, I hate this, but I'm sorry. If you can stick through to the end, what an amazing finale that was. I really would compare it to some of the best films that I've seen, the way that season ended. And that was fantastic television. Also, Party Down, I mentioned this on my Twitter, Party Down Season 2 premiered. And if you haven't seen that, it's sort of like The Office, only it's about caterers in L.A., and a very cynical show, at times almost too dark for me, but the season premiere was hilarious and awesome, and it's all on Instant Stream. So there it is.
Wow, man, you and your recommendations. Can we stand any more?
Actually.
But, so our main topic this week is Netflix, and more particularly Instant Stream. And one of the things that made me want to talk about that this week is the fact that just recently in the mail, I received my disc to watch Instant Stream on my Nintendo Wii.
That was so professional.
Yeah, I know.
The Nintendo Wii?
Well, you have to say Nintendo Wii, because if you don't, you end up just saying Wii, and it reads very poorly.
My brother's Wii was crushed by the UPS truck when it was delivered. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, man.
How are we making Wii title jokes this far in?
I can watch Netflix on my Wii now.
Why are you excited about this? I'll play the skeptic. It's not the HD version of Netflix. Because
I have a SD TV in my bedroom now with my Wii hooked to it. And
you did it.
Oh, we need like a counter running or something.
Just go.
But and now it's all the more accessible, and I can just be sitting in my room and be like, I want to watch this, and turn it on.
Sure, it's convenient.
It's very convenient. It adds a whole new spectrum to how to take in it. And now, there's so many ways to take this in. It's on iPad now, and it's soon coming to...
Any device you have in your house will most likely run Netflix at some point.
Yes.
Real quick, do you have to have the disc in to watch the movies?
Yes.
Disadvantage.
That is something to do with the deal that they have with Microsoft. Like the Xbox is the only one that gets it in software installed on the system.
Strange.
But it's all right because I rarely play Wii disc games.
Right. It's now your Netflix.
It's either
box,
I'm playing like Zelda, Mario, or watching movies on it. So It's really cool.
And speaking of movies,
Look,
we're big believers in instant stream on this show. I apologize if you don't have this service. I don't know what you're doing. Anyway, moving on. Assuming that the problem with instant stream is that it's not very well organized, especially on the Netflix website. People don't know how to get to the good stuff. And real quick up front, I'll recommend that they go to instantwatcher.com. Best website I know of to sort of take all of the Netflix data of streaming stuff only and aggregate it and show it to you in a way that actually shows you what you want to find, shows you brand new stuff up to the minute, what's come out. And I'd also recommend a site called Feedflix, which Flicks. That's a site that shows you what will be coming out. And because of that site, for example, I know that District 9 is coming out on Instant Watch very shortly. Stuff like that you want to keep up to speed on, maybe. Good sites to visit. But we're going to go ahead and give 5 movies that we recommend watching on Instant Stream.
Yeah.
So I'll let you start. What is your number 5? I mean, these are in no particular order, I guess.
Yeah, I really can't do that. If anything, I tried to compile a list that was kind of broad-ranging.
Right.
Although I realized a lot of these actually turn out to be TV shows, because that's really one of the best things to use this for. Just watching lengthy bouts of stuff. So the first thing I'm going to start off with is actually one of my favorite things currently to watch on Netflix is Fawlty Towers.
I knew you were going to go there.
Did you?
Yeah, well, you name-dropped it recently, and I was like, wow, you watch Fawlty Towers? I'll play the skeptic again. Isn't this just like old British TV?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was recently introduced to it. My girlfriend was like, "Oh, like it's what's his name? Crap,
John Cleese.
John Cleese of Monty Python fame, and
right.
Even more beyond that. And it's his own show. Basically, this British comedy about a guy running a hotel. Mm-hmm. Mayhem ensues. He wants everything to kind of be on the up and up. He wants, premium guests. He doesn't want to deal with rabble or anything like that. And
right.
His wife, and he has this Spanish helper man,
helper man.
I
like that.
Call these.
That's the video game that went along with it. The tie-in.
Right, the Spanish helper man.
Right.
Part 2. But it's really funny. I can't really say exactly what it is about it, but
how British is it? Because that can be a factor for sure.
It is very British.
Okay.
It has the full-on lame shutter speed camera.
Right.
That always kind of gets blurry when
PAL
there's
conversion.
A reflection.
yeah, whatever that is that made Doctor Who blurry.
Exactly.
It's what is going on over there? I think it's the conversion. Yeah.
I mean, not only is it British, it's also from the 70s. It has its own thing. It's interesting, for example, to see there's an episode where an American comes to visit.
Right.
And he's just overly rude and just very it's funny to see that.
Yeah.
But if anything, it's cool to watch because I feel like this is a show that had a full run.
Yeah.
Probably led to a lot of people's careers, but it just was a straightforward British comedy. Also kind of crude in a way, just how the cinematics are handled.
Did you have to get over the hurdle of the age of the show and the Britishness, or was that just sort of not a factor?
No, I mean, I knew going in, this is what it is, but...
it's a highly recommended show on Netflix, too. A lot of people like that in terms of ratings.
And I think maybe that's one of the reasons why I'm recommending it so much is because there's so many hurdles that prevent people from just clicking on it and saying, I will watch this.
Right, and now price isn't one of them, at least,
Right, and that's the thing about Instant Stream, and what I'm going to keep coming back to is that the big advantage is that there's little or no dedication.
Yeah.
You just...
You're commitment free. If you're commitment phobic,
right,
gentlemen, this is the program for you.
Exactly, and so you don't have to commit to it. You try it out, and you see, despite the hammy look of the cover...
Right.
Am I going to enjoy this? And it's spelled Fawlty. That's his last name, this character's last name. So give it a try.
Cool beans. Well, I'm going to recommend, I think, strictly movies for mine. Just happen to turn out that way. But the first one I'll do is Raising Victor Vargas. This is a movie about Spanish teenagers living in sort of the lower west side of New York. I may be wrong about that. But the main character, Victor Vargas, is this sort of Spanish teenage Mac daddy, basically. He doesn't really have like a lot of muscle or anything to really show off, but he just thinks he's the greatest thing. And there's a girl he's interested in. He really is chasing after her pretty hard, and she just wants nothing to do with him. The performances are all awesome, and that's special considering the fact that there are no professional actors in this movie, at least not at the time. Some of them have actually gone on to be in a few other things, but it shows a quality director. And Peter Sellette, I want to say, who also did Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist. This is his first movie. He just got these performances out of these kids. The grandmother character, it's a Spanish family and they speak Spanish a lot. Grandmother character is so endearing. When you see this grandmother, you will instantly want to hug her, climb into her face. I don't know, that's weird. But I just recommend this movie. I love this movie, and it's one of those things that not a lot of people know about. I love sharing that with people. Check out Raising Victor Vargas. I really think you'll enjoy it.
Interesting. All right, my next pick is a TV show also that I love to watch or have running in the background. It is Anthony Bourdain's No Reservations from the Travel Channel.
Yeah, talk about this because it's so recommended online.
Okay.
And I just always avoid it.
I think the thing that keeps people away is Anthony Bourdain himself. It's like he's a very kind of divisive person. He splits people up because... He's kind of a jerk in a way.
Okay.
He's very New Yorky. I mean, he's a New York chef, but he travels the world sampling anything and just discovering the world. Like, it's mainly about the food of various places. So in a way, it's a food show, but it's also a travel show. He also talks about the locations and the people he gets to meet. And I really find his character, I mean, it's not a character, but his demeanor charming in a way. Because he really doesn't have any reservations, you know? I mean, like, they don't know who he is at these restaurants.
Okay.
No.
This was a Food Network show originally, right?
No. Food Network has a show called Bizarre Foods, which is very similar. But the guy on it just doesn't have the same kind of personality. Like, Anthony Bourdain does a great job of narrating what's going on and sort of like sensationalizing it. Like he does this episode where he like goes to like China and he has to meet with this local Communist Party representative and they end up drinking like all this like really strong alcohol and like the camera's like zooming in on his face as he's like and he's like narrating the whole thing and like the guy is like deadpan face like and he's trying to get permission to like proceed and like you know but then
is it extreme situations basically like all over the world?
Well, he makes it seem that way, but then you usually the mood breaks and like for example in that scenario they just all end up start dancing like the guy challenges him to a dancing contest.
Oh, nice.
You know?
How every great political meeting should end.
Exactly.
By the way, totally off topic. Have you seen this thing with the politicians like throwing eggs? I can't remember what country this was.
It's probably Britain.
Yeah, it's people throwing eggs and they're throwing them at this dude. It's like Parliament or something.
Yeah.
And the dude busts out an umbrella from beneath the desk and just opens it to like block the eggs. And I was thinking, who brought the eggs? And I was like, who brought the umbrella? Like this is like they were like prepared for this choreographed fight.
Yeah.
So crazy. I don't know what's going on in politics.
They probably declare like the day before. Tomorrow we will be bringing eggs for you, sir.
Exactly.
Well, I will bring an umbrella, and it's like this game of chess.
Yeah. So Anthony Bourdain's No Reservations.
Yes, and there's quite a bit of this show. I think all the way up to like seven whole volumes of it available. So you can just watch it and like just get carried away and lost, and you will end up wanting to eat scary food. Like
that's how I feel about Mythbusters. There's just so many seasons on Instant Stream, and I throw them on just randomly.
Yeah.
Love that too.
I think I ended up eating like a krill, like lightly fried, just like ate its face because I watched this show and I'm like, I need to just eat something that doesn't look like I should be.
Yeah, awesome. What is a krill? What were you eating? Like whale food?
No. Well, it's like a shrimp.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, I think I was right. Whale eat that.
It's what the things in District 9 are named after, the aliens.
Oh, the prawn. Yeah.
Oh, prawn. Sorry, that's what I ate. It was a prawn. Krill is what whales eat, but they're much, much, much tinier. Yeah.
It's the spin-off that your grandmother buys. District 10 has krill. But anyway, so my recommendation for number 3 is going to be the Salton Sea.
Oh yeah, I almost had this on my list too.
Yeah, if you have listened to this show, you know that one of my top 10 films of all time is Real Genius. And if you know Real Genius, then you know that Val Kilmer was freaking cool back in the 80s, especially in that movie. And the problem is that Val Kilmer is no longer cool. At least now he's sort of pudgy and weird, and I keep wishing that Val Kilmer could return to some of that glory. I mean, Heat, another great movie with him, sort of in his adult years. This was probably the last time I can think that Val Kilmer was truly cool, was this movie, The Salton Sea. It's about sort of an undercover cop. He plays almost two roles. He's an undercover cop, but he's also, because he's undercover, he's going into like this like meth head sort of area. It's very sort of dark comedy, but I think it really works. And right away, this movie grabbed me because they're talking about people that make this stuff, this crystal meth and stuff. And
it's Speed, I think.
Speed, yeah, sorry. And they call them tweakers. And, you get to meet some very interesting tweakers in this movie, including Vincent D'Onofrio in an awesome performance, always doing something with a prop. Vincent D'Onofrio, if you watched him in The Breakup, he's got this, handkerchief he's cleaning his ear out with for no reason, He just has it. That's just how awesome he is. In this movie, his nose has been cut off because of the amount of gack, quote-unquote, that he's done. And he just talks with this really weird voice. He's actually kind of frightening because of it. Awesome performances. And, yeah, just a cool movie, again, that I don't think a lot of people have seen. Very stylistically done. Cool soundtrack. Check out The Salton Sea.
Sweet. This one you probably also see coming, but this is because non-committal Netflix watching.
Right, sure.
Please check out The Call of Cthulhu.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did check that out, by the way.
Yeah, it's weird because you almost wouldn't think that this would be highly rated, but it is. They gave it like 4 stars. Like the average viewer on Netflix finds themselves really enjoying this silent film that was made in 2005.
Right.
Kind
of low budget. I mean, let's be honest. Don't expect... when Cthulhu himself appears, I won't spoil it, but I was a little let down.
Right. I mean, I don't think... I think this almost looks like a student film.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, I said, I have this incredible itch, like, please, somebody make a high-budget version, some budget at this story, which I think a lot of people are really, into. Like, there's a whole kind of, like, geek following of Cthulhu.
It is. It's a geek culture surrounding. I saw a bumper sticker the other day that said like "Vote for Cthulhu" in 2011 or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, you just see this reference, and eventually you pick up, what is this about?
Give this a try, and if it affects you like it affected me, you'll be quickly answering the call very soon.
Jeez, Louise. Let's hope that's not the tagline. You will answer the call, won't you?
Will you?
I
won't
should say,
you?
speaking of won't you, I will quickly say this is not on my list. I'll just deviate for 1 second and say there's tons of Mystery Science Theater on Netflix, and I recently watched The Blood Waters of Dr. Z, which has some really great, just lame stock footage of fish and mollusks and crap at the beginning while this mad scientist is narrating, "I love you," and stuff like that. Perfect movie for them to watch. One of my favorites on there is Future War. But like I said, that's a little bit of a
I had
deviation.
to write that off my list too because I'm like, everybody knows we like
everyone
Mystery
knows
Science
that.
Theater.
But we love my favorite TV show by far. It's definitely worth watching.
And it's on there.
It's on there.
Yeah.
But my number 4 is going to be, let's see, randomly grabbing this here, a movie called Monsoon Wedding, which is an Indian film. But if you know about Indian people, you'll know that they actually speak English. Most of them speak English. So this movie is sort of bilingual. You'll sometimes read and you'll sometimes just listen if you speak English. And, man, I don't know a lot about Indian culture, but I really enjoyed, and similar with Slumdog Millionaire, I really enjoyed seeing, like, kind of absorbing into the Indian culture.
Such a good movie.
Yeah, such a good movie with great music, and I would say this is not, a high-paced, movie about drug running and all that other stuff.
Right.
However, Indian weddings are these giant events, like multi-day events, according to this movie. And the family shows up, and when you imagine so many family members, each who have their own unique story and their own problems and scandals and things, and people are sleeping with other people, there's all this room for drama. Of the 2 hours you watch this, it's just going to be it's so well worth your time because there's so many miniature stories in there that are all revolving around this wedding, and it's an arranged marriage, which I'm fascinated by. I don't know about you, but like arranged marriages, I really think are interesting because a lot of times they last just as long, if not longer, than a regular old fell in love marriage. And in this movie, you get to see that. You get to see these two people who are just slammed together because their parents said so, and you get to see, how that plays out. I really recommend this movie, Monsoon Wedding.
Cool. I'll check that out.
Sure you will.
Sure.
You lie. No, just kidding. I know you wish you could.
I know. Well, the next recommendation, we're looking at number 4 or 2, depending on how we're going in this list.
I totally got sidetracked there.
Number C. Next up is, basically a show, but also a spinoff of a show. Check out Miami Inc. or LA Inc. because they're basically the same show.
Indeed, yeah.
These are great things to just have on, and
things to have on in the background is basically your list, right?
Yeah.
Good stuff. Hey, everybody needs that.
Yeah.
And
this is definitely, but it's also a really interesting show, and just like Anthony Bourdain will make you want to eat something weird, this will make you want to get a tattoo. I recommend,
because I watch it and I want to make a tattoo,
I actually, can I tell you a story? I actually did make a tattoo once while I was watching Miami Inc., and somebody I know got it tattooed on them.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Sweet. I hope it was a good one.
Yeah, it was pretty decent. Now, the actual tattoo artist professionally cleaned it up and stuff.
Right, yeah.
But that was kind of cool. And
awesome.
So this show really starts to get you artistically inspired, I think is the neat thing is they have all these different artists working in these tattoo shops who each have their own speciality,
Yeah.
They have their own thing, and so they'll talk about it, and then they'll make these tattoos that are always amazing looking. But also the neat thing is about tattoos is usually people, when they're getting them, have a reason for getting them. Even if it's frivolous, it's still interesting.
It is, yeah.
So
that's what I was going to say is that the people, while they're getting this hour or 2 hour long process, whatever, they're talking about their story. Most of the time, very emotional reasons that they're getting these tattoos to mark some big life event or somebody's death or someone that inspired them.
It's awesome. It's really a great show, and it's a formula that keeps you coming back for more because it's always very personal, but also results in this end product, which is this tattoo.
Yeah. I'm glad to see that this is a genre of reality TV that's sort of developed of watching great, talented people do great things. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, Ace of Cakes or something like that. Where, it's just like people that are just awesome at their job, and you get to watch that. I don't feel any guilt when I watch a show like that, as opposed to the sort of, bash this particular person type of show, which, we all watch
rich people
those
getting
too.
in trouble again.
Yeah. Busted in your home, in the privacy of your home. No, we all watch those, let's be honest. But these I think, are actually kind of informative. It's edutainment. There you go.
Terrible way to describe.
But it's inspiring.
Like I don't want to think of rainbow fish whenever I'm looking at this.
Yeah, my number X, whatever number we're on now, is going to be Delicatessen. This is a movie by the French director Junet, I want to say, and he's also done City of Lost Children, and he's done.
Gosh, it looked like some sort of documentary, like Food Inc. or something.
Yeah, it's got a pig on the logo.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't want to watch this.
No, you've got to watch this movie,
Okay.
Delicatessen. There is no frame of a Junet, I'll say, film that you don't know is his. He has such an artistic style. Speaking of artistry, it's awesome. It's just like painting with film. And right from the get-go, it's super fun. It's super wacky. He always casts, the same guy, the particular guy with like the, very expressive face. in his films, and he's got a new movie coming out too. I think it's called Micmacs. But I'm really excited to see that. The guy's just an artist, and it's this thing about French design where it's like, wow, you can just tell there's so much creativity put into this. Delicatessen, very cool movie. Takes place in this apartment, wacky stuff going on. Check this out. I think that's all I'm going to say about it.
All right. Well, my final movie on my list is, in fact, a movie, just to try and stay true to this. And I'll preface it by saying there's a lot of movies that I got into, I think, while I was staying at your place, and they were just like these IFC movies, like weird kind of stuff that you had because you had Voom, and it was like this, just whatever was HD was shoveled onto it.
Right, yeah.
And this was one of those movies that I really enjoyed, really like to recommend, but is kind of rare to find. It's called Groove. And if you've ever seen it in the store, you might recognize this interesting sort of cover art, if you will, of a guy sitting basically on a subway, but holding a giant disco ball.
Right,
like he's on his way to a place with a disco ball.
I haven't heard of it, no.
Right. Groove is actually the story of the rave scene in...
is it a documentary, you said?
No, it's not a documentary. It's actually a story. Mm-hmm. It's a drama, filed under drama. But it's a... I don't know how you put it. Multiple characters' stories, branching stories, all kind of culminating around this rave.
Are there actors playing famous people in this movie, like famous musicians?
No. I think you're thinking of 24-Hour Party People, which is another movie, but that's not on Instant Stream.
Okay.
This is this is completely focused just on the rave scene, and the interesting thing that I kind of liked about it was that it's not heavy-handed about it. Mm-hmm. One way or the other. I don't think it's demonizing it. Like it's not just like everybody dies from ecstasy overdose.
Right.
But ecstasy is there, and it is a concern. People who talk to other people about being smart about how they use it or something like that.
Right. And are young people sort of primarily the leads in this story?
No, it goes all around the border. Like it shows. Like I said, it's a bunch of different storylines that all go in. There's a story of a just up and coming DJ who it's his like big break to play this thing, and there's like a master DJ there who he looks up to and he gets to meet, and just his sort of story. There is kind of a central kind of romance story about a guy who like it's his like first time going or things like that, and so you see a lot through his eyes because it's explaining this phenomenon. There's a couple who they're going trying to get to this place towards an anniversary, but it's because raves just kind of pop up sporadically at empty warehouses. They aren't able to find it, and then there's the story of the actual guy who's putting it together, who finds the warehouse, who causes it to pop up, and kind of the thing that happens there. So I always thought it was kind of cool. I don't know how it holds up today. Like I said, it really didn't feel too heavy-handed. It just felt like true human drama set against this kind of modern, or what was modern 5 years ago or so. Setting,
Groove. Awesome. I'm going to real quickly, because we're running out of time, say my last recommendation is Primer. This is a movie that if you are a nerd, I think you need to watch this movie. And the less said about it, the better. The topic of Primer, I shouldn't even really say, except that it's very smart people building something very interesting. And you don't immediately realize what it is that they're building. But the dialogue in this movie is very highbrow, and it's a slow-paced movie that builds and builds. I would say if you can invest time, if you don't mind movies that are dialogue-driven, check this movie out. It is so smart. It is so cool. It's one that you might want to watch with somebody because you'll probably be talking about it. And again, I don't want to even spoil what it is that they're making. But that's sort of the marketing for this film too. Is like once you know what it is, you'll be talking about it. It's called Primer. Absolutely watch that movie. It's on there. So that is it.
That's it.
And real quick, I wanted to respond to a comment we got from a listener from a while back who had written in. This is our friend Daniel from the UK. He said, "Hiya guys, I just thought I would mention that I followed your advice. I waited out my contract and changed carriers and now have a brand new HTC Desire. Already downloaded some cool apps. Wondered if you had any recommendations." Thank you, Daniel. He had written in asking about phones. He lives in the UK, and we told him, hey, get the HTC Desire. He did.
Desire.
Yeah, I hope he's enjoying it. It's a lot like the Nexus One, only better, if I could describe this phone. Anyway, my app recommendations for you, Daniel, in as quickest way I can, because I know, Rob, you don't have this, and I don't want to just suck up all the time here.
Right. Well, yeah, you're the expert. I mean, I could sort of recommend a few like app concepts.
Right.
But,
I like app concepts, but as far as Android goes, I have the Droid. So the ones that I like for music, I prefer Google Listen for podcasts. I like Shazam and Pandora and Rhapsody if you can afford the $10 a month price point. Excellent streaming apps. For social stuff, I like my Twitter app is Touiter, however you want to say that. Toiter is what I like to say. And of course, I'm always in the Facebook app. If you like movies, I recommend the Flickster movie app, which just is called Movies, literally. And I recommend that you bookmark the instantwatcher.com website that we mentioned before. If you have Netflix, go to that website all the time and check out what they have and you can even add stuff to your queue right from that mobile site. For books, I recommend Aldico. It's a free public domain book reading app that is awesome. Really nicely designed app for book reading, and it's got all these classic books. For gaming, I recommend SNESoid, the Super Nintendo emulator, which I'm obsessed with. I recommend Bonsai Blast, a game that should not be free, that totally is, that lets you... it's like Zuma, only it actually improves upon Zuma, and it's strictly touch-based, so it's nice and easy.
That's impossible.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to show off the 3D ability of your phone, I recommend Asphalt 5. This is a racing game. It costs you money. It's like $6, but if you look at the graphics in this game, well worth it. And for free, Raging Thunder demo for also 3D racing. There's a role-playing game, Xenonoia, however you want to say that. Look it up. It was on the iPhone.
Annoyed by the Zoin.
Exactly. It was on iPhone first. It's a really lush-looking 2D RPG, super high quality, also a pay game, but worth it. And then Space Physics, which is where you draw crap to solve things, and it just drops into the world. Love all that stuff. And then for food, Urban Spoon gives you recommendations for restaurants. I use that all the time. I found a great place to eat on Valentine's Day with that. And if you want to exercise or you need an excuse, there's an extremely sexy app called RunStar that it tracks your walking and running and then shows you after you're done a diagram of how you walked, how you ran, when you went up in elevation and down. Excellent, beautiful app. May actually make some people exercise just because of how good it looks. And that is it for apps.
If I could throw in just one along those lines, because I know this will be on your phone, it's the mobile site for About.com's Calorie Count service, which I basically gave up Weight Watchers because this is so much the same thing, but for free. And they've improved their mobile website so that now you can actually search for the foods that you're eating and stuff and log them on your phone as you're going and just keep track of what you're eating and make sure you're not going over the 2,000 a day or 1,700 a day that they recommend.
Sure. Awesome.
Pretty cool.
No, that's excellent, and we're trying to be healthier during the week too, and with stuff like the Double Down available, it becomes trickier. I'm sorry. Yeah, but by the way, good job, KFC. All these shows I've listened to are making fun of this sandwich. I just want to say, this is super successful.
Man,
they have gotten everybody to eat this thing.
Dude, when I was at the place, they couldn't sell enough of them. Or they were running out. They're like, put more in the oven, quick! Like people were just ordering 5 of them.
It's exactly like the Snuggie. It was something that everyone made fun of and purchased.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Beautiful, super smart. So, I just kudos to KFC for that. Anyway, it's working. So. We were going to end with the nostalgia section, as always, and we're running a little bit long because of our recommendations. Basically, we'll just do this real quick. This week, Sony officially killed off the floppy disk. And that may surprise you because, like us, you probably thought the floppy died already a long time ago. But this is what blew my mind, is that they said, unfortunately, sales in 2009 decreased to only $12 million. And I was like, whoa, who is buying that many floppies, you know?
Yeah.
Apparently America. No, apparently
China.
people-
It was.
Yeah, somebody's still using floppies. So I'll frame this around one question. Apple, a long time ago had claimed the floppy wasn't worth it anymore. And my big thing was, well, then what are you replacing it with? They did this on the iMac, and they kind of famously got rid of it. What, in historical perspective, now we can look back, what, in hindsight, was the floppy replaced with? Because I'm still a little confused about this.
I would say academically, it was replaced by the flash drive, the thumb drive. You now have these 2 gigabyte drives for $10 that you can store anything on, and that was one of the main things that I had to have a floppy drive for was homework assignments. I would type something up at home, and I'd need to take it in and do it. I mean, my senior PowerPoint presentation was stored on a floppy disk,
Nice.
And so these days, though, everything, like, everybody has a USB port, and so these things are one of the best ways to do it. But I can't say that functionally that's what replaced everything that the floppy disks did for us. But for
because software would be loaded on floppy disks, like F11.7a
or
Sherlock
F117.
Holmes.
I always messed that up.
Whatever it was.
No, I called it F11.7a because I didn't know how to say that configuration of numbers. Yeah, it was terrible. But
11.7. Oh, you're totally right. Oh, my 31-year-old self finally figured that out. But anyway, so things would come on these, and that was always my argument in the past was when the iMac got rid of it, I was like, well, what does small software like drivers and stuff come on? And of course, I guess it's just CDs, DVDs.
Right, yeah. But at the time, it's like the internet wasn't prolific enough to be like, here's how you'll get all your updates or your patches or your, whatever.
Yeah.
But the internet quickly stepped up things like as download speed became better, as, internet moved from being pay per month and not pay per minute. It got to be like a lot better, but I do think Apple jumped the gun still. Back in the day, like they were,
because then they released the external super disk drive.
Oh boy.
Yeah. It was almost like apologizing, like we killed it, but here it is again.
Yeah,
and it's weirder.
Lastly, these days, all software is on CDs and DVDs, and
I think that probably the reason I can't ever find an answer to this is because there's a lot of answers to this.
Yeah.
But for us, I know it was the zip drive at first was how we transferred files, and then I remember my professor at CCAC just saying, "Why don't you just network your computers?" And I was like, "What work?" And we sure enough drilled holes in the wall, ran the Cat5, and just whoa, that's a lot better. We were transferring things on, Dad's insurance discs, with insurance scribbled out and something written on there, like game saves or whatever.
Right.
But
oh man.
So goodbye, floppy.
Goodbye.
You've been replaced. So surprised that you weren't gone already. But
like some celebrity hanging out in the court, and you're just like, holy crap, he's making a movie, and it's his last movie. It's like.
Yeah, and so
the final movie of William Dafoe.
Exactly. So
maybe not him.
So if you use floppy disks and would like to share your experiences with that, you may do so. You can email us at mail@growing-up-geek.com. And as always, you can follow Rob and I throughout the week. We don't just say things on the show. We also talk on Twitter throughout the week and give you geeky updates that way. And our Twitter addresses are GUGBrad and GUGRob. Once again, my name is Brad.
I am Rob.
And we will see you next week.